Hey. So I want to do this follow-up to today's activities because some people care. Some people like to watch, learn, listen, understand. Some have interest in work that's actually done to help people and not harm people. I was out trying to deal with understanding why just Marcos ended up being targeted out there with the cleanup efforts that ultimately ended up being literally a 22-hour project to get some understanding and get some government employees on the phone or in person to just answer some simple questions about why Denver, the Denver Police Department, once again decided to be as shifty and conniving and uninvolved as they possibly could be in yet again targeting homeless people. So I was out at the Bear Creek Trail earlier, did some live streams there. This started yesterday when I got a call from Marcos, and he said that all of his belongings had been taken. He ultimately called me last night and said that, he didn't have his property. And I told him that he needed to call the police and report all of his property stolen. And the call dropped. I'm assuming his phone died. I don't know. He probably didn't like what he heard because he doesn't want to deal with the police any more than they are already wanting to deal with him by citing him for all these crimes against government, trash accumulation, open container. I did the live stream where I went and got his police reports and tried to understand why it is that the city of Sheridan and Inglewood are so determined to take this guy down. Just this one homeless guy trying to survive out there. And come to find out, ultimately, I think there's truth to it all, that the more I advertise and the more I talk about it, they are targeted. But Marcos he's the survivalist type of guy, with his own barriers, with his own issues. And, I am of the philosophy that if you're not going to help them, leave them alone. Well, of course, that's not the state's philosophy because they have to act based on complaints. And after that big runaround today with CDOT, I finally got the right person on the phone, which could have been done this morning when I talked to that asshole that ended up hanging up on me. When you are a state employee and someone says to you, I need to talk to the person that can help me help these people, that's your cue to do your job. That's not my cue to kiss your ass. You work for the taxpayers. I'm not asking you to bow down. I'm asking you to put the person on the phone that I can talk to, because I know CDOT has that person. I know this person existed. Guess how I got in contact with this person? Well, I had to submit an inquiry to CDOT online, because government. You follow the government protocol to get to where you want to go, and if they decide that they are going to meet you there, then you'll get a call back or a response. So I used their system to continuously show them that their system doesn't work. So we continuously waste dollars on systems that don't work while the homeless sit out there, and we couldn't possibly be using those dollars for any of that stuff, right? We got to put it into failed communication systems first. So I submit an online inquiry to CDOT because I was told that big orange trucks hauled all their stuff off. Well, that tells me that the Denver police probably weren't there, but I'm not certain. I'm not certain about the Denver Parks and Rec being involved or not, because that is their property and they're out there all the time. So I submit the online inquiry, and at like 10 o'clock or so this morning, I haven't heard anything. This is urgent because these people don't have their things. Well, come to find out, it wasn't a lot of people. It was 2 people, Marcos and his friend. So after no response from the online inquiry, I call. I get that asswipe on the phone. He hangs up on me. So I'm forced to go out there again to look to see if there's any notification, anything that talks about them being evicted, anything that talks about where they can retrieve their belongings. There's still nothing. Talked to a nice guy at the CDOT substation, whatever you want to call it. And he gave me his supervisor's name and number. I called him, couldn't get him on the phone, left him a voicemail. Still haven't heard from him. So from there, I go over to the Denver Parks office, substation, whatever you want to call it, and essentially interrupt an entire staff meeting. And a nice woman responds to me over there. Well, I don't know. You'll have to call 311. I said, well, in the past I've used 311. It took me 3 months to get a response from 311 and some open records that I needed from Denver. And I only got that response because I had to call my city councilman. And then my city councilman had to spend another 2 weeks dealing with that. It ended up being, like a 3-month project using the 311 failed communication system that Denver continuously spends money on, okay? So I said to the nice lady at the parks thing, could you maybe call me back? And she said she would. So, still hadn't heard from anybody, so I decided to call the 311 system. Well, let me back up. I first got in touch with the city council person for that district. I thought he could help me. Didn't get a response right away, so then I moved on to the online 311 system to submit my inquiry with the city of Denver. And lo and behold, I couldn't get past the location fields where you must enter an address or cross streets, in which I did, to get through submitting the online inquiry for the 311 system. So after spending 15 minutes of doing that, I decided, well, this isn't going to work, so I'll call the 311 system. Holy shit, you ought to hear that recorded phone call. That guy wasn't listening to a damn thing I said and told me that I would have to call CDOT. I was like, I don't know what to do right about now. So, you know what? Let's talk to the Denver Police Department non-emergency line. And let's find out what Denver does with the property of the homeless. I know they have a warehouse that they haul it all to and they store it. I don't know where the hell it's at because there's no notification. So the guy puts me through to the Denver Police Department non-emergency line. Now that lady, she was super helpful. Had I known last night that if I would have called the Denver non-emergency line and maybe got someone like this woman, which I wouldn't have, got someone on the phone that could have called CDOT's backdoor number and got the right person to get me in touch with. I mean, who would have thought things could have been that simple? Stupid me. Why didn't I just do what I should have done to begin with? Just wait till today, wait 15 hours later, call at the specific time, get this one person on the phone that could call CDOT. But no, it gets better. So she says, you need to call so-and-so. She coordinates all of the homeless cleanup throughout the entire metro area. I said, no way. I said, CDOT has somebody that does that. And imagine CDOT hanging up on me 5 hours earlier, telling me there was no one to talk to. Wow, okay. What's her number? So she gives me her phone number. Well, it's the number to the main line at CDOT again. I shit you not. These things you could literally make a movie out of. But you have to go through these processes so you can show that you follow their process and that it just doesn't work. And that you're wasting tax dollars. And that government has inconsequential services everywhere that we don't need. And we could take all that money and actually build probably 500 tiny homes and house 500 homeless fucking people. So, I call CDOT's main number again, going on the 20th hour of trying to solve this problem. It gets good. And this is all recorded. I might publish it. I'll see how much time I have to get all this shit done. So, this guy answers the customer service line. Hello? Yeah, hi. I'm not sure if I have the right connection here, but I need to get a hold of so-and-so because I was told this was the person that I needed to talk to. Who are you? Shit, you're not. Who are you? Is the response I get from the second time I'm on the phone with CDOT's customer service. I said, who am I? Who are you? Is the more important question. And I said, let me back up and tell you how my day has been. Well, he had that woman on the phone in a heartbeat. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine you have to just get firm, nasty, rude, scream, yell, just to get where you need to get when you started out nice 5 hours ago. So I get the woman on the phone that works for CDOT, that coordinates all the homeless cleanup. And it turns out that she tells me she was out there yesterday. So she goes into all the detail about how this cleanup went down and how these homeless people had been given notification. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt on that. So you told them you were going to come wipe out all their stuff. And she maintains that it's for, public safety, the environment, environmental cleanup, and that the Denver Police Department requested that they do it. Right there is the breakdown. Right there is the kicker about the same shit that Denver has repeatedly done for years to target the homeless. And let me tell you, they didn't clean up the trash. It wasn't the environment that was the concern, because you can go back and watch my live stream from out there and you will see all kinds of trash out there. So I'm not disputing that trash is the problem. It is a problem. Nobody wants to accept that trash in the waterways is okay, and that it just being ignored is acceptable, or that perhaps making them clean it up could be an approach you could take. How about give them an order of some sort that says, let's get this done, like now. I would have gladly gone out there and helped him. I have had numerous conversations with Marcos and other homeless people about how they do become targets when they let the trash get out of hand. But here's another barrier. It's up here. And it's called this little tiny thing about mental health and how the homeless hoard and why they do it and why they think they need to do it. So where were the mental health professionals that exist within the city of Denver to go out there and have a conversation with these people, or to invoke teams of people that they pay to do that, or heaven forbid, activate, volunteer organizations that would more than willingly go out there and do those things? No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to use force, because that's what government does. They do it best. And if you don't listen to them, they're just going to kick your ass into compliance. Yes, I know. We love this shit. We live for it. It's like daytime television stuff. It's soap opera stuff. It's great stuff when you can kick a guy when he's down. It's fantastic. That's why government does it. Oh, and money. Don't forget about the little piece when I was out there talking to Tom. You heard Tom say, yeah, Yeah, he was smoking some weed. He smelled like weed. So the cop said, you know, dude, you smell like weed, so I'm going to have to give you a ticket. And then you're going to have to go to court. And then, yeah, no, just let the process work. Tom, it'll be okay. So Tom, the homeless guy, what? Tom isn't homeless. Sorry. Tom is housed. Tom likes to go out and mingle with the homeless, hang out with the homeless. He got mad at me for saying you guys. He told me not to categorize the homeless as you guys, so it's a reminder to me that it's us guys. Because I go out and mingle with the homeless all the time. But apparently, I don't wear a target on myself in some form or fashion that says to the police that they can target me because I'm homeless. Yeah, it exists. The stereotypes exist. They're real. And I acknowledge that fully. So I'm really grateful to Tom. I got his contact information. We're going to stay in touch. He taught me a lot today, an older guy. We had a great conversation. But even Tom talked about not liking some of the homeless individuals that were along the Bear Creek Trail because of the trash. Because they could physically set up a tent and do all these other things, but physically couldn't pick up their trash. He was appalled by it, and he told me about it, and I agreed with him. I did. So there is that little bit of leeway that I will give the state in trying to address the trash problem. I'm sorry. I didn't know going out and bulldozing, which they did. They took heavy equipment out there and bulldozed, tore it down to the ground, and hauled it off. Everything. But according to the woman at CDOT, Marcos was there and apparently gave them consent to do that. It's not quite what Marcos told me last night. His story wasn't meshing up. I've actually gotten to know Marcos quite a bit. I know Marcos much better than CDOT does because I took the time to understand what was going on with Marcos, and Marcos is very proud, and he doesn't tell people that he's homeless. He's never even put it on the record in court that he's homeless. That's why I needed to dig deeper and go pay the money for the police reports and understand why he was continuing to be drugged through these crimes that he was telling me about, all these victimless crimes against government. They're targeting him. The man is a survivalist. Just by his own actions, he's teaching others how to survive. So what does government do? Well, they go in when no one is watching or when they think no one is paying attention. And they take advantage of the situation and call it safety for their health. She also explained to me that, the waterway through there, and I agree to a point, but I want to know how many people have had a conversation with Marcos about the waterway and the runoff, because there is some increased danger where he's staying for flash flooding. He and I haven't had that conversation. I think Marcos is probably pretty aware, but Marcos also has some barriers. So let's go in and just clean out his area. Make sure he walks away empty-handed. However it went down, Marcos walked away from everything he owned, and the state threw it away. I see Marcos probably being there when it went down, probably remembering some of the things I told him about standing up for himself and not letting the government take ownership of his things, his life. I told him the other day to stop talking to the police. And he kind of looked at me and he said, well, I'm just trying to make conversation. I'm just trying to keep it cool. There's no reason to, because they use it against you because you are homeless. So at the end of the day today, I had a great big long conversation with the woman that's employed by the Colorado Department of Transportation that oversees all of the homeless cleanup crews and coordination, and works with all of the inmates that go out and clean up. That's the other thing. I really want to learn a little bit more about if we actually have all these inmates out there picking up trash on the highways, I can't say that I have ever once seen any inmates going into these areas to clean up any trash. Which, of course, they'll say, oh, we can't do that because, our inmates will mingle with the homeless and they'll give them drugs and whatever else. They'll come up with a million reasons why that can't happen. It couldn't be a case of having anyone oversee that process, right? I mean, the state does take ownership of you when you're incarcerated. What would be the reason they couldn't take ownership of just overseeing an action of someone picking up trash? I mean, that would be impossible, right? Totally impossible. So ultimately, I think this woman and I were able to establish a good understanding of what our goals were. I believe her. I have no reason not to believe her, but she does work for the state, and her job is force. And she made it clear that, yeah, they have to do that stuff. Well, I made it clear as to why I felt they didn't have to do that stuff. And she went into detail about how they will try to help and pick up the trash and this and that. So we're going to meet tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to this, a genuine meeting. And I'm going to get some orange trash bags. I've been trying to get some orange trash bags for a long time because I do know that CDOT will pick those up because those designate trash for CDOT, which, by the way, CDOT still has a shit ton of trash bags sitting along 285 further west of this location that haven't been picked up. So this effort yesterday was not about the trash. It was about targeting one guy because the Denver police set it up that way. And once again, the protocol in Denver wasn't followed, and they're going to get away with it because they get to shift the onus onto CDOT to say this little strip of land is yours. It's not ours. We're going to oversee you going out there and using force because they were out there yesterday. I was told that by CDOT because they have to use law enforcement when they go. So Denver knew exactly what was going on and failed to post notice. Had they done that, all of my questions would have been answered. I would have known exactly where to go. So all I would have had to do was go find Marcos and take him to go get his things. Well, CDOT tells a different version of the story that Marcos was there. They said they gave him an opportunity to save what he wanted. Supposedly he did. He moved the things aside. And then he ultimately told the people he didn't want any of it and walked off. I know Marcos well enough that he gave up. And he had nowhere to take that stuff. He's already in a shit ton of trouble with Inglewood. He's already been to jail for FTAs over trash accumulation tickets. And so the cycle continues. Not one person has helped this man. Not one. And now he's out there. And who cares? Right? It doesn't matter. He chose it. That's him. He did it all. So when you're vulnerable and you're down on your luck and the state shows up to kick you again, I'm sure you're going to fight like hell, right? I'm sure you are. So that's today's lesson in trying to help the homeless. And tomorrow's lesson will be what? How to kick them even more? I don't know. It's very upsetting. And hey guys, coronavirus, right? I mean, nobody's paying attention. It's time for more compliance. It's time for do it or else. You watch. It's just getting started. It's just getting started. And for all the auditors and everybody else that's out there, keep it up. Just don't go to jail, okay? Don't put yourself in a position where you give government all the leverage and all the money. Don't do it, because that means you're losing. You can't be in there doing anything for anyone out here. You can't. And just like Tom, the guy I met today, and he offered me some weed. What a nice guy. I mean, he's a nice guy. He pulled out his pipe and, he said, "You want a little?" I said, No, thanks, Tom." He said, "Oh, okay." But, anyone that would light up a cigarette sitting right next to me could do that. And that's okay. But what he's doing is illegal, even though pot's legal. And we'll just use him as an example for the other homeless community, this big bad Inglewood cop that showed up on the scene. Tom explained to me where it all went down. And the cop, "You smell like pot. That'll be $250, buddy." Ultimately. That's what it came down to. Even if he caught him red-handed, smoking the pot. "Yep, buddy, that's going to cost you $250. Yeah. That's government. Hey, Bohica, what's happening? So I was just doing a recap about today's events out there at Bear Creek. So if you want to go back and watch, you'll get the gist of it. It started this morning. Well, it started yesterday. But, so I can't find Marcos anywhere. I know he was reaching out to me for help. He didn't quite know how to reach out to me. Because he's still kind of hanging his head over being mad at me about not bailing him out of jail for that FTA, right? It was physically impossible for me to bail him out of jail over that weekend. I was working on it the next day. They're gonna bury him. That's the problem with working with vulnerable people, just like I said earlier. When they have those barriers, when they have all those challenges, they don't think fast enough on their toes to know how to defend themselves, to know to not talk to the cops and let the cops, build their case. Don't give them a reason to go ahead. "Oh yeah, you just admitted to this crime against government. Here you go. Oh, and you didn't show up to court. You're going to jail." Don't talk to the cops, you guys. The homeless, they don't like to talk to the cops. And Marcos is just, riding the bike, trying to get where he needs to go, and the cops are pulling him over on his bicycle. Pulling him over on his bicycle for not having the right light. Yeah, there's nothing going on there, is there? So anyway, maybe Tom will find Marcos. I asked Tom if he happens to run into Marcos to tell him to call me. I keep trying Marcos's phone, but it goes straight to voicemail, so he's either lost his phone, somebody jacked him while we were talking on the phone last night. I don't know. I have no idea. Oh well, huh? It's just somebody. It's just somebody that, served this country. Went to war for us. He went to Iraq, for you and me. So we could, sit in our little comfy chairs and do our thing. While CDOT goes out and wipes out his life. He's used to it. This is, I think, the 4th time that they've completely wiped him out. And one of the last things he said to me last night was, "I don't know if it's not worth fighting these guys." And then the phone actually, I think that's about the time the phone just dropped. The call just ended. I didn't even hear anything. I'm like, "Are you here?" There's nothing. Called him right back, went straight to voicemail. So that's bothersome. Yeah, and I lost sleep over that last night. And then I'm supposed to be nice to government. Anyway, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's meeting with this woman, with CDOT. She says she wants to work with me because I have this nonprofit. I made it very clear that I'm not looking for collaboration with government to do these things to the homeless. If I can help avert tragedies like this, yeah, I guess I'll work with you if you want to let me know when you're going to go out and disrupt their whole lives. Yeah, let's work together. That sounds good. That sounds like a good working relationship. I like that. I should be happy about that. She was nice and professional and apologetic over the phone for how this failure of communication continues to serve everyone well. And she's going to give me some trash bags. So that'll be great. So I'll update you tomorrow. And I'm really excited for Saturday because I get to go talk to the Arapahoe Libertarian Party. They're having their annual convention for their affiliate out there. And I'm invited to speak to talk about the nonprofit and the work we've accomplished so far. A few of those members have been very instrumental in helping me connect individuals with resources on the private side, on just the citizen side. So I think we're gonna be able to do a lot of good work. The goal still is by the end of the year to have that shower trailer, because I've got a whole program written on how we're gonna bring all these things together. But I guess in the meantime, I'm gonna be building relationships with government. That's awesome. Not. So, yeah. All right, well, I'm going to go, and I'm tired. I'm definitely going to go, because I'm going to say a lot of shit that I... All right, guys, talk to you later. Take care. And remember, if you would like to donate $50,000 to Helping Hands for Dignity Coalition, you can write a fully tax-deductible check to my organization that actually is doing something to keep government in check and not feeding government. So spread the word, and let's go.